We've outsourced everything, haven't we? Our food, our transport, even our memories. But what happens when we try to outsource grief, to delegate death itself? This video is for you if you're searching for a way to reclaim the sacred space of sorrow, a quiet knowing that some things cannot be optimized, a deeper breath in the face of what cannot be controlled. If that sounds like you, just stay and listen, as if you're listening to the quiet truth of your own heart. The air hung heavy, not with sorrow, but with a strange, almost clinical efficiency. The scent of lilies mingled with the faint, metallic tang of new technology. He stood there, a young man in a dark suit, his face a mask of composure. Around him, the hum of servers, the soft click of cameras, the murmur of distant voices on a live stream. His mother, gone. Her absence, a vast, echoing canyon in his chest. Yet, he found himself not weeping, not collapsing into the raw, primal scream of grief, but rather, checking the audio levels on his phone, ensuring the virtual attendees could hear the eulogy, perfectly crafted by an algorithm, reflecting on a life he felt he barely knew anymore. The world had become a series of inputs and outputs, a constant stream of data to be processed, optimized, and presented. Even death, it seemed, was no exception. The silence that followed her last breath wasn't the sacred, heavy quiet of a world paused in reverence. It was the digital silence of a muted microphone, waiting for the next cue. He remembered a time, long ago, when silence was a presence, a comforting blanket in moments of profound change. His grandmother, sitting by the window, watching the rain fall, her hands still in her lap. No words, no distractions, just the quiet acceptance of the moment. He would sit beside her, a small child, feeling the warmth of her presence, the gentle rhythm of her breathing. In those moments, the world outside faded, and only the stillness remained. It was a stillness that spoke volumes, a language understood not with the mind, but with the heart. A language that seemed to have been lost somewhere between the endless notifications and the constant need to be connected. Now, silence felt like an absence, a void to be filled, a problem to be solved. He scrolled through the comments on the live stream, a stream of digital condolences, emojis of crying faces, hearts, and praying hands. Each one a fleeting connection, a momentary acknowledgement of a loss that felt increasingly abstract. He wondered if anyone truly felt it, the sharp, piercing pain that should accompany such a profound departure. Or had they, too, learned to navigate grief through a screen, a safe distance removed from the raw, messy reality of it all? The room was filled with people, yet he felt utterly alone, surrounded by a cacophony of unspoken expectations and the silent hum of technology. The air conditioning whirred softly, a constant, almost imperceptible drone that filled the space where genuine emotion might have once resided. He closed his eyes for a moment, trying to conjure the image of his mother's face, the sound of her laughter, the warmth of her embrace. But even those memories felt filtered, digitized, like old photographs stored on a cloud server, accessible but somehow distant. He opened his eyes, and the world rushed back in, a blur of screens and faces, all waiting for the next optimized moment. The silence was gone, replaced by the gentle hum of the machine, a constant reminder that even in death, we are never truly alone, never truly disconnected, never truly allowed to simply be. And in that realization, a new kind of emptiness settled in, a quiet, unsettling void that no amount of digital connection could ever fill. He had always prided himself on his efficiency, his ability to streamline, to optimize. Life, to him, was a series of problems to be solved, challenges to be overcome with logic and precision. Emotions were messy, unpredictable variables that only served to complicate the elegant algorithms of existence. When his mother fell ill, he approached it with the same detached pragmatism. He researched the best hospitals, the most advanced treatments, the most renowned specialists. He managed her appointments, her medications, her diet, all with the meticulous care of a project manager overseeing a critical launch. He believed that if he could just control every aspect, if he could just apply enough data and enough technology, he could conquer even this, the ultimate bug in the system. But death, he was learning, was not a problem to be solved. It was a force, an undeniable, unyielding current that swept away all his carefully constructed defenses. And in its wake, it left not a clean, organized void, but a gaping, raw wound that refused to heal on command. He found himself adrift in a sea of unfamiliar sensations, a dull ache in his chest that no painkiller could touch, a constant lump in his throat that made swallowing difficult, a pervasive sense of unreality that blurred the edges of his meticulously ordered world. He tried to intellectualize it, to categorize it, to find a logical explanation for this illogical agony. He read articles on grief stages, watched documentaries on coping mechanisms, even consulted an AI chatbot designed to provide emotional support. The chatbot offered platitudes and statistics, reassuring him that his feelings were normal, that he was progressing through the stages of grief as expected. But the words felt hollow, devoid of the warmth and understanding he desperately craved. He longed for a connection that transcended data points, a comfort that couldn't be quantified or optimized. He remembered a conversation with his mother years ago when he was a child. He had scraped his knee, a deep, painful gash. He had run to her, tears streaming down his face, expecting her to fix it, to make the pain disappear. Instead, she had simply held him, her arms a soft, comforting embrace. She didn't try to distract him or tell him not to cry. She just let him feel it, the raw, stinging sensation, the hot tears on his cheeks. And in that simple act of presence, the pain, though still there, felt somehow bearable. It was a lesson he had forgotten, or perhaps never truly learned. The lesson that some pains are not meant to be fixed, but to be felt. Some wounds are not meant to be closed, but to be honored. And some losses are not meant to be overcome, but to be carried, gently, in the quiet chambers of the heart. He looked at his hands, strong and capable, hands that had built complex systems, optimized intricate processes. Yet, they felt useless now, unable to grasp the intangible, to mend the unfixable. The tension was not just in his mind, but in his very being, a silent scream trapped within the confines of his logical, ordered world. He was a man who had always sought control, and now, he was utterly, terrifyingly out of it. And in that surrender, a faint, almost imperceptible tremor of something new began to stir within him. Not peace, not yet, but perhaps the first fragile stirrings of a different kind of understanding. An understanding that could not be found in data or algorithms or the endless pursuit of optimization. An understanding that could only be found in the raw, messy, beautiful truth of being human. Kisā Gotamī was the wife of a wealthy man of Savatthi. She had a son, her only child, who died when he was just a little over a year old. Overwhelmed with grief, she carried the dead child on her hip, going from house to house, begging for medicine to restore him to life. People mocked her, some tried to restrain her, but she paid no heed. A wise old man, seeing her distress, advised her to go to the Buddha, saying, "Go to the Buddha, daughter, he will know of a medicine for your child." Kisā Gotamī went to the Buddha, laid her dead child before him, and pleaded, "Lord, give me medicine for my child." The Buddha, with great compassion, said to her, "Go, my daughter, and fetch a handful of mustard seed from a house where no one has ever died." Kisā Gotamī, filled with hope, went from house to house, asking for mustard seed. At each house, she would ask, "Has anyone ever died in this house?" And each time, the answer was the same, "My son died here," or "My father died here," or "My mother died here." She went to every house in the village, but she could not find a single house where no one had ever died. Gradually, the truth dawned upon her. She realized that death is universal, that it spares no one, and that her grief was not unique. She understood that she was not alone in her suffering. With this realization, her attachment to her dead child lessened. She took her child to the cremation ground, laid him down, and said, "Dear little son, the law of impermanence is that all things are subject to change and decay. This is not only for you, but for all beings." She then returned to the Buddha, who asked her if she had brought the mustard seed. She replied, "The mustard seed is found, Lord, but not the house. The truth of impermanence has dawned upon me." The Buddha then taught her the Dharma, and she attained the first stage of enlightenment. Dhammapada, verse 114. Better than 100 years lived without seeing the deathless state is one day lived seeing the deathless state. Dhammapada, chapter 8. Thousands, Sahasa Vagga, verse 114. Source: Dhammapada commentary. Story: Kisā Gotamī seeks mustard seed to cure her dead child. He had always seen death as a failure, a glitch in the perfect system of life. Something to be fought, to be delayed, to be ultimately overcome. His mother's passing was not just a personal tragedy. It was a testament to the limitations of even the most advanced technology, a stark reminder that some things remained stubbornly outside the realm of human control. He had tried to manage her dying, to curate her funeral, to even outsource his grief to algorithms and digital memorials. But the story of Kisā Gotamī, the grieving mother seeking a house untouched by death, resonated with a truth far older and more profound than any data point. It was a truth that whispered not of control, but of acceptance, not of optimization, but of surrender. He began to see that his relentless pursuit of efficiency, his desire to streamline every aspect of life, had inadvertently created a barrier between himself and the very essence of being human. He had built a fortress of logic and technology around his heart, believing it would protect him from pain. But in doing so, he had also locked himself away from the capacity to truly feel, to truly connect, to truly live. The realization was not a sudden, dramatic epiphany, but a slow, quiet unfolding, like a flower opening its petals to the morning sun. He started to notice the subtle ways he had avoided discomfort, the unconscious habits he had developed to bypass genuine emotion. The quick glance at his phone when a difficult thought arose, the immediate search for a distraction when silence became too loud, the tendency to intellectualize feelings rather than simply allowing them to be. He saw how this avoidance had not diminished his pain, but merely transformed it, turning a sharp, acute agony into a dull, persistent ache. The story of the mustard seed was not just about the universality of death. It was about the universality of grief and the profound, liberating truth that in sharing our sorrow, we find not weakness, but strength. In acknowledging our vulnerability, we discover a deeper wellspring of resilience. He began to understand that the purpose of grief was not to be overcome, but to be honored. It was a sacred passage, a testament to the love that had existed, and a bridge to a deeper understanding of life itself. The tears that had been held back for so long began to surface, not as a torrent of despair, but as a gentle, cleansing rain. Each tear a release, a letting go of the illusion of control, a surrender to the natural rhythm of life and death. He realized that his mother's passing was not a failure, but a profound teaching. A teaching that could not be found in books or algorithms, or the endless pursuit of external solutions. It was a teaching that could only be found in the quiet chambers of his own heart, in the raw, unedited experience of being human. The world, he saw, was not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be embraced. And in that embrace, he found a sense of peace that transcended all understanding, a peace that was not dependent on the absence of pain, but on the presence of acceptance. He was beginning to learn how to die, not in the physical sense, but in the letting go of all that he thought he knew, all that he thought he could control. And in that dying, he was, for the first time, truly beginning to live. Close your eyes, gently. Feel the weight of your body in the chair, the subtle pressure of your feet on the floor. Notice the rhythm of your breath, not trying to change it, just observing its natural flow. Inhale, and feel the air fill your lungs. Exhale, and feel the gentle release. There is no need to control, no need to optimize, no need to fix. Just breathe. Allow your awareness to settle in the space behind your eyes, in the quiet chamber of your heart. Notice any sensations that arise, without judgment, without attachment. A tightness in the chest, a flutter in the stomach, a warmth in the hands. These are not problems to be solved, but messengers, bringing information from the depths of your being. Listen to them, not with your mind, but with your presence. Imagine a vast, open sky. Thoughts, emotions, sensations, they are like clouds passing through this sky. Some are dark and heavy, some are light and fleeting. But they are all temporary. They come and they go. You are the sky. You are the vast, unchanging awareness that holds all of it, without being defined by any of it. There is no need to chase the clouds, no need to push them away. Just observe them, gently, as they drift by. And as you observe, notice the space between the clouds, the vast, clear expanse of the sky. This is the stillness that always exists, beneath the surface of all experience. This is the peace that is always available, even in the midst of sorrow, even in the face of loss. Allow yourself to rest in this stillness, even for a few moments. Feel the gentle hum of existence, the quiet pulse of life within you. There is nothing to do, nowhere to go, nothing to achieve. Just be. And in this being, allow yourself to feel whatever arises. The echoes of grief, the whispers of fear, the stirrings of hope. Welcome them all, without resistance, without judgment. They are all part of the human experience, part of the rich tapestry of life. And in welcoming them, you reclaim your power, your capacity to feel deeply, to live fully, to embrace the entirety of your being. This is not about escaping pain, but about transforming your relationship with it. It is about learning to sit with discomfort, to allow it to be, without letting it define you. It is about discovering that even in the deepest sorrow, there is a quiet strength, a profound resilience, a boundless capacity for love. And as you rest in this stillness, know that you are not alone. You are connected to all beings, to the vast, interconnected web of life. And in that connection, there is a deep and abiding peace that transcends all understanding. When you are ready, gently open your eyes. Bring this stillness, this awareness, this peace into your day. Let it guide your actions, inform your choices, and illuminate your path. This is the practice. This is the path. This is the way. He looked at the empty chair where his mother used to sit, a space now filled only with the quiet hum of the house. The digital condolences had faded, the live stream had ended, and the carefully curated eulogy was now just another file on his hard drive. He had optimized the funeral, streamlined the grieving process, and even tried to outsource his pain. But the emptiness remained, a silent, persistent echo in the chambers of his heart. He had sought to control death, to intellectualize sorrow, to manage loss as if it were a project. But what if the very act of trying to control, to manage, to outsource, was what kept him from truly living? What if the raw, unedited experience of grief was not a problem to be solved, but a sacred passage to be walked? What if the tears he had held back were not a sign of weakness, but a cleansing rain, washing away the illusions of control and inviting him into a deeper, more authentic relationship with life itself? He thought of Kisā Gotamī, walking from house to house, seeking a mustard seed from a home untouched by death. Her journey was not about finding a cure for death, but about realizing its universality, about embracing the shared human experience of loss. And in that embrace, she found not despair, but a profound liberation. He looked out the window, at the world moving on, oblivious to the quiet revolution happening within him. The sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, a fleeting masterpiece that would soon fade into darkness. And in that fading, there was a beauty, a poignant reminder of the impermanence of all things. He had spent his life chasing permanence, building structures that he believed would last forever. But perhaps true permanence was not in what endured, but in what was deeply felt, deeply lived, deeply surrendered. What if the true art of living was not in holding on, but in learning how to let go, gracefully, completely, beautifully? And in that letting go, what if he found not an end, but a new beginning, a vast, open space where life, in all its messy, unpredictable, beautiful truth, could finally unfold? This journey, this quiet unfolding, is yours. No algorithms, no shortcuts, just you, and the gentle rhythm of your own breath. If this resonated, if a quiet space opened within you, simply stay. Listen to the next whisper. The path reveals itself, one breath at a time.